Hey, this is Professor Triplet, and we are going to go over the mesh tools this week. So, this is a much smaller menu than before, so hopefully we can buzz through this pretty quick. Alright, first thing, hide modeling toolkit. This is the modeling toolkit. It is something that's more new to Maya, and some people, they get all mad when they change things, and they're like, I don't want that there, and they hit that button, so they don't have to look at it. Alright, anyway, that's all that thing does. So, next thing, let's get on to the next one. A pen polygon tool. This is actually kind of a fun one. So let's go ahead and just delete out a few polygons and show you how this works. So if I hit this, then I click on an edge, you see you get these like little things that look like paper airplanes coming up. And all I have to do is click on the next edge and it will make a polygon between there. And if you hit G on your keyboard to repeat, you can just do this over and over and over again until your model is completely filled. Let's talk about some problems. If we try to do this pen polygon from like here to here, it does allow that. So we can go ahead and hit G. But if we try to do from like here to here, it will allow that too. But as you can see, we're getting into some strange territories here. So it will allow you to do certain things like this, but and in some cases you may want that. But just be careful that you don't make some bad geometry with this thing. All right, let's move to the next one. Well, we've used the connect before. Let's turn on multi-component here in the modeling toolkit, and we will go to connect, and you can click here on a vert and then shift click on the next vert. It will connect it. Then you can click on an edge. Oh, looks like I didn't hit enter, so I have to hit enter, and then I can click on an edge, and it looks like it's in kind of some auto finish mode or something here. Not sure why it's doing that, because the other connect one that's in the other menu allows you to basically connect multiple edges. So let's just do this. Let me show you how this works. So if I just shift select these edges, you can see that it lets me keep moving through these edges. What happens if I go here? No, it doesn't complete it. So you have to be sequential and go into sequence. So you can see there I just added in all these edges just by shift selecting each edge. But it looks like if you don't do that, it wants to add in an edge loop right away for some reason. Let's connect. Let's see. Yeah, so the other tool doesn't seem to do that. I'm not sure why they have the same tool twice, and it even has the same icon. So, but regardless, the other tool doesn't seem to. It didn't do it when I used this before. So, connect, and now I think I've really screwed Maya up. It doesn't know what to do anymore. Hit enter. Yeah, I think I messed this item up. I'm gonna go ahead and delete the history. It's not liking me anymore. That's okay. Let's move on. We get the idea. We've gone over the connect tool. So crease. This is an interesting one. Now I'm going to show you this, but I'm going to tell you that this does not fix all of your edge looping problems, but it is helpful in some cases. You will notice that I have this thicker edge down here. Let me go ahead and hit 1 on my keyboard, and you can see what this cylinder actually looks like without being smooth. So I had the smooth preview on, and this thicker edge means I have an edge weight on it. Okay, so if I hit 3 on my keyboard, you can kind of tell this top part is smoother than this part down here. Well, this edge weight holds the edges when you do a smooth preview or when you're smoothing your model. So let me show you an example of how this crease works. So I'm going to just click the crease and double click on this edge loop, and now if I middle mouse drag, I can actually add the weight to it. So now you can tell like it looks like it's kind of nice and beveled. Now I will say I don't typically use this tool from this menu. They have another menu in modeling editors up here that's called the crease set editor, and this is the one I prefer to use. And the reason why is because I can, for instance, let's go ahead and just undo that I can grab this edge and then I can say new in here, and it just added it new, and it tells me what it says 2 right here, and 2.00, that's the level of crease this is at, and I can middle mouse drag over this and I can see where I'm at with my number, and I can manage this. So if I wanted to, like if this was deselected, I can select it in here and hit select and it automatically selects it, or I can hit delete and it gets rid of it. You know, I can go ahead and put it in there again, middle mouse drag and change the settings, say remove. So I think, let's see, I'm not sure why the remove isn't working, but I thought it was you just selected and hit remove. Oh yeah, there it goes. I don't know why it worked that time. Okay. Well, that was strange. So anyway, even though this thing's nice and it holds these edges, it doesn't always fix all of your edge looping problems. You can see I did do one here though, and it does make things look a little nicer. And the reason why I did this one is if you look at it unsmooth, I have one on the top, and then on the bottom I did the same kind of scenario, but I used actual geometry, my 3 points, to hold the 90-degree turn here. So 1, 2, 3. So the tighter you make these 3 points together, the tighter this edge will be, or the sharper the edge will be. Okay, so if we go ahead and hit 3 on the keyboard, I think it's pretty obvious that this looks a little bit better than this. You can tell that this isn't quite as nice. Now, in fairness, I would also have to add in this edge to the crease set to make it look right. So if I just went new like that and then turn it down like that or so. So it does look okay, and in some cases it works nicely, but there are more complex models where it doesn't work quite well. So you do still need to know how to do good hard surface modeling if you're going to be a proficient modeler. Okay, so let's close this guy. Let's move on to the next one, which is the Create Polygon tool. This is a fun one. So this one, you just turn it on and you can just start making a polygon like so. Any shape you want. And just hit enter to finish it. And there you go. You've got this polygon. And so you could put like a reference down and you can basically click, 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 get the general shape of the reference just by using this Create Polygon tool. Okay, Insert Edge Loop tool. This is a pretty important one and something that I do use often. So let's go ahead and get a torus out here and show what this thing can do. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and change this down to 6. So, alright, let me open up the options, and I end up using these options a lot. Let's reset the tool. Okay, it's reset, and I'm going to show you. It works basically like the cut tool does when you hold control on the cut tool and you do edge loops. It just has more power to it. So I'm going to drop an edge loop, and you can see that when I put these edge loops in, they're kind of on an angle because it's kind of doing it by percentage of distance from the edge. So since these edges are shorter, then it's making it closer. Sometimes you don't want that though. Sometimes you want it to be basically straight and parallel with the edge that you're cutting off of. So in that case, that's what this equal distance from edge is. So if you want to activate this, you just click on it, and then you make sure you click close to the edge you want it to be parallel to. And you can see here that when I do this, now these edges are nice and straight versus the tapered ones here. And so what will happen is you'll get the same kind of bevel on the outside as in the inside. So if I hit F3, we're going to get, this will be tighter and then looser up here because of the angle, but in this one it should be equal. It should look almost exactly the same. So let's get out of that. All right, multiple edge loops. As it suggests, you can add in multiple edge loops, and so let's just put in 10. There we go. And if I drop the tool, I can actually go into my channel box and I can still adjust how many divisions this is. So if I wanted to make it, I don't know, 3 instead of 10, I can do that. And as you can see too, there's other inputs that you can mess around with in here. All right, so let's go ahead and get back to our tool. All right, one thing to note is that if you want to drop an edge loop right in the middle, all you have to do is like turn this down to 1, and then no matter what, where you click, it'll just drop it in the middle. It doesn't allow you to adjust it. So that's just a nice little tool there. Let's go ahead and turn that off, and we're going to turn on Insert with Edge Flow. And when you have this on, it's set to 1. If I click in here, you can see it wants to kind of complete the curvature of this torus. So we had a tool also in Edit Mesh, which was Edit Edge Flow. Basically, this is like you get to add in the edge loop and have that on automatically. Okay, so that's basically how I use this tool. There's a few other little things in here you could play around with, but that gives you the gist of what it does and the importance of it. So while we're still on this torus, actually, you know, we're going to make hole, so we don't need the torus. But let's move off and let's get this guy. All right, we go ahead and just scale this down a bit, and I'm going to rotate it. Yeah, let's rotate it on the object level. That way I can see how much I'm rotating it. And my widget's way over here, so let's center pivot. There we go. There we go. All right, make hole tool. It's kind of a bizarre tool to me, and I'll show you why I say that. You have to combine the tools or the two pieces together if you want to do this. So if you're going to have basically, this is what the hole shape is going to be, and this is the object that's going to receive the hole. It's not that much different than a Boolean in a sense, sort of. You'll see when I do it. So I'm going to combine these two first, and then I'm just going to hit make hole, and you can see I got these little dots on here. All right. So you're going to pick this one, and then you just double click on. I kind of put this too close. Let me do something here. Oh, it worked. All right. Once I dropped the tool, it worked. I was trying to click underneath it, but it got the surface that I was looking for. So basically what it did is it cuts that hole into whatever the second surface is that you select. And it's kind of strange because you can't really see it here, but I'll show you in a way where you can see it. Watch this. I'm going to pull this out like this. Now I'm going to do the tool again. So make hole. I'm going to select this and then select this. All right. You see how it stretches the surface out to this thing. And I guess that could be useful, but to me that's a little weird and bizarre that it would do that. I can see that being useful though, but I just haven't used this in a production environment yet. So let me show you how you can snap this back if you want it to be flush with the surface. So if you select all these verts, or you can select the edges, it doesn't matter. Just make sure you scroll only on this arrow right here, the one that's going in the direction of the normals. Hold V and then start moving towards one of these verts here, and you'll see that it'll snap right to the same plane with these verts. So now it's like just the hole cut in the side of this thing. All right, I think that just might be a little bit more useful than the way they have the tool working. So we'll leave that alone now. Multicut tool. Okay, we've kind of gone over this, but I'll do it again. So the multicut tool, obviously you can click from a vert to an edge to another edge to another edge to a vert, and just hit enter. and then you complete the tool. You can also hold Control, and it will add in an edge loop. And if you hold Shift, it'll snap to increments. So if I just hold Shift by itself, it gives me the middle. So I can click in the middle, click in the middle, click in the middle, click in the middle, click in the middle even here. So if I hit Enter, there. So that's one of the things that you can do with the Multicut tool, besides just cutting. So you can add edge loops in, and it's a pretty good tool. So I use it a lot too. This is a very common tool in my workflow. All right, offset edge loop tool. Okay, this one. Let's pick a better thing like here. This would be better. Okay. So offset edge loop tool. If I go ahead and just click on this, ooh, it looks like we need to be in this mode. And I click on this edge, it automatically wants to set up two different edge loops that are going to be like equal distance when I drop them. So that's a nice tool for if you're trying to just get that that 3-point tighter bevel in here. So if I hit F3, let's go back to our object mode. There we go. So you can see how nice that looks. So that's a helpful tool at certain times. We're not going to go over paints, the paint and paint transfer. The quad draw, though, we will go over because that's a great tool, and that's something that when we're doing retopologizing characters, this will definitely come up. Okay, so I'm actually going to pull up the documentation for this. Okay, so I went ahead and opened the documentation for this because there's all kinds of different basically keystrokes that you can do that activate this quad tool. And if you're going to end up doing character stuff, this is something you're definitely going to want to use. So I'm going to move this off on my second screen, but I'm looking, I know most of the commands by heart, but some of the commands I don't, I forget, but I'm using this as a guide. So let me go ahead and first thing I'm going to do is make a surface live. So what's a good surface around here? I guess we'll just do this cube, it's fine. I'm going to go ahead and let's smooth this thing though. Smooth. And we'll just, there we go. Okay, so basically, I'm going to grab this, make it live. So now this is a background object. And our quad draw, what it's going to do is it's going to actually draw on top of this. So let me just show you the basic function. So if I click on here, it drops a vert, basically. And if I hold Shift and click, now I made a polygon. So I can keep dropping verts, hold Shift, click, or let's just show you the faster way. Just kind of go like this. There you go. So you can make a bunch of verts, or I mean a bunch of faces. This is really good for retopologizing characters. If I hold Shift, I can relax these. I can make them smaller, and they're basically relaxing on the surface. Okay. If you hold Control, you can drop an edge loop in them. So I put an edge loop in the middle. If you hold Control and I think it's middle mouse. Yeah. Control and middle mouse, then it drops an edge loop right through the middle. It actually snaps it to the middle. So if I hold Tab down, I can actually extend these out. And what you can see is, I don't know if you noticed, but here, let me extend another one out. They snap, so I can click and it'll actually snap into itself. And it's very, very useful. Because whatever your surface is below, so I'm just left clicking and dragging around. It allows you to basically just adjust your topology on the surface below. So if you were in class and you watched the ZBrush Summit documentation that we watched for the 2014 Disney, you'll note that they sculpt their characters first and then they go in and do the stuff in Maya, and that's basically the workflow that I do too. So I go ahead and sculpt my character, make it look the way I want, and then I come into Maya and I use this tool to retopologize the surface. So let's go ahead and just show a few other things you can do. One of the things is if you hold tab, you'll get like a polygon here. And if I just, oops, let me undo that. That's not what I want to do. Tab, if I middle mouse drag, I can make this different size. But if I hold tab and just start dragging on my surface, it'll allow me to just keep moving this and draw strips out. Okay, so let's go ahead and show you like what would happen if I wanted to make an eye concentric circle. So I'm just going to go ahead and hold tab, and I'm going to start drawing it. And then I'm going to come down here, hold tab, start drawing it this way. And I'm going to snap that to there and that to there. Maybe I'll hold shift and see if I can relax these together. Relax these a little bit. Let's do this one to this one. Just relax these a little bit, like so. So we can see we're kind of getting that eyeball shape, and it's a concentric circle, which is good. That's what you want for starting your eye topology. Okay, so now let's say you want to extend out. We know that you can hold tab, and if you hold over the edge, you can just extend one, but how do we extend all of them out? So if you do tab plus middle mouse drag, you can actually drag all of them out. Of course, that's causing a problem because it's kind of taking them in one direction. But let's show you a part where this will work. So you can do it like that and like that. So that's some good examples. If you want to read more about it, there's a few more things that you can do. One thing I should show is that if you hold Control and Shift, like let's say you made a polygon you didn't want. Oh, that one didn't work. Let's get rid of these, or let's get rid of that whole edge loop. So you can hold Control and Shift and delete stuff out. So super useful tool. I've used other topology tools. I would say this one's probably one of my favorites. I haven't used TopoGun, which is a program that's made just for topology, and that's supposed to be like amazing. But with the tools in Maya, I don't see that I need to have a second tool because this one works really good. Okay, so let's jump off of the quad draw and go into the sculpting tools. I'm only going to show one brush in the sculpting tools just to get the principles down, and then if you want to play with them all, you are more than welcome. So do that for next week's assignment. Oops, so we're still having a live surface on, so it wants to snap to that, so I got to turn the live surface off. And let's go into here, and I'm just going to smooth this twice. I'm going to hit G. Sculpting works better if you have something that's higher poly. So I'm just going to go to my common sculpt tool, and you can tell that this thing got grayed out. And if you have your tools up, you can see like I can increase my size here, but there's also a shortcut too. If I hold B on my keyboard and I move left and right, oops, come on, B, there we go. Why it didn't work the first time, I don't know. But if you move left and right, you can make your brush smaller or larger. And if you want to increase the strength of your brush, you hold M and you drag up and down. So that'll increase the strength. Up is more strength and down is less. So if I want to sculpt something, I can just kind of start moving these points around. Now let's say I'm moving them too much. Well, I want to turn my strength down, or I can smooth this. So if I hold Shift, I can actually smooth this out a bit. It's not going to go exactly to the original shape, but it will smooth down whatever I've done. If I hold Control, it actually digs into the model. So it's actually going the opposite way that the original direction was going. So the original direction is going like off the normals. It's making stuff protrude out, and then the holding Control like inverts that basically. And this is very similar. Actually, the keystrokes are identical to ZBrush. So in ZBrush, if you hold Shift, it smooths. If you hold Control, actually in ZBrush, I think it's Alt. You hold Alt to go in. I'm pretty sure. Okay, and so that's basically how the sculpt tools work. And there's a lot of stuff in here you can play with. One thing that's a little bit different is freeze, which basically means you can paint a part of the mesh that won't be affected by your sculpt. But for this next week's assignment, you'll be able to go in here and actually do another character, and like we did last week, but this time you're going to make it even better because you've got all these new tools you can use. Alright, so the next two is slide edge. We already know target weld. Slide edge is pretty important. Let me show you an example of slide edge. And I'm just going to go edge. Let's get rid of these two. Control backspace. And let's go back to... Okay. So the basics of slide edge is you just turn it on and you middle mouse drag. And this will move along the edges, okay? That's all fine and good, but we can get more out of this tool. So I'm actually going to put those edge loops back in. So slide edge, and I'm going to double click on here. I'm going to shift double click on here, shift double click on here. Now I middle mouse drag down, and I middle mouse drag back up a little bit, like so. And you can see what this will do is it's starting to kind of interpolate between the directions, and if I let go of my middle mouse drag and then restart doing it, it's actually smoothing this thing a little bit more each time. So it's a nice little tool that helps you to, begin introducing some bevels without actually having to bevel the geometry. So for instance, if I just went ahead and grabbed this, you can see it's kind of beveling itself in a way. Okay, so and of course if you just wanted to move something along the same edge and not have it come off of that, it works for that too. So let's go to the target weld. And target weld, you can actually use edges if you want. You can weld edge to edge, like so. I typically use it for the verts most of the time, but you can do the edges as well, as you can see. Okay, so that is the mesh tools. Now you have almost the entire arsenal of modeling tools in Maya as far as poly modeling goes. Now it's just learning to use them and use them creatively. So for the next assignment, we're going to revisit making a character, like blocking out a character. That character is, we did the Mr. Bill thing, and some people deviated off and made some really creative stuff, and that was great. I want to show two of those things that I thought were noteworthy because I wanted to show kind of what you can do with primitives, like how far you can go with primitives. One of them actually goes a little bit further into more modeling techniques, and one of them is mostly just primitives. I don't want to embarrass the people who did these. I think it's noteworthy to show really good work, so I'm going to go ahead and just show that stuff now. So actually, let me minimize all this. Okay, so this is one that I wanted to show. Let's go ahead and open this up bigger. So this is Cheap, and this is one of our students in our class did this. Emily Simon is her name, and I just thought it was really good and it was creative. So if we look at the wireframe though, it looks pretty decent. There's a few little things in here that could be, they could be fixed up later, but we haven't really gotten into cleaning up too much yet. So the shape works for it works from this point of view. It looks pretty good, and I think it's pretty impressive. And I just wanted to show, without being asked, she jumped ahead and kind of like had some fun with this assignment, and that's the whole idea. So that's good stuff. Okay, so the next one is M. Jennings, and this one was a little bit more complex with what she did, but a lot of it is basic shapes that were just kind of scaled in certain ways and combined together. And let's just look at the wireframe. So you see, like, you could have a sphere here. You could have, you can extrude along a spline here. You make the curve, to go around there. These are just like spheres that are crunched. There's a sphere here. There's a sphere for the nose. This is probably a boolean up top here where the eyes are. This is probably a boolean, and then like a fill. And then for instance, like this center part, there's probably like a sphere that uses like an FFD, like a lattice box on, and you kind of just crunch it. Or you could probably use like a squash and stretch or something like that to manipulate it to be that shape. You could use a lattice to pull this out, or a soft select. Probably the most complex thing in here is the fact that she combined the arms and she did the fingers, and she put those onto the actual body. But this is the same principle right here as that we saw like with the coffee mug. Like if you make this cylinder shape, you just tie it into the geometry that you have there by shaping the geometry, moving it point by point or whatever, or cutting the circle in there. So anyway, I just wanted to show like this is the direction with just using primitives. You can just kind of find a character that works for that. You can use your own character. You can design your own character if you want, or you can go ahead and make or use somebody else's work. It's fine, as long as you did it and you're good. So from here on out, we'll start getting a little bit more in depth and challenging ourselves with projects that that go further than we thought we could do. So all right, everybody, thanks for watching, and I'll put up assignment descriptions that specify exactly what to do. But for right now, just understand that we're going to try to make another character, and it can be blocked out. It doesn't have to be perfect, but try to go more complex. Try to challenge yourself to see what you can figure out, and do something fun. Have some fun with it. So thanks for watching.